The day Emily's life collided with danger began like any other, wrapped in a silence she had learned to understand better than sight itself. But within that silence hid a storm she never saw coming. The moment the rough rumble of motorcycle engines echoed through the peaceful park, the world seemed to tremble. People stepped aside, birds scattered, and in the center of that sudden tension stood Emily, a blind girl in a bright red dress, walking slowly with her cane, unaware that the leader of the most feared biker gang in the city was standing directly in her path. What happened next would break hearts, rebuild lives, and leave everyone watching stunned. If you believe in kindness, redemption, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more inspiring stories like this. The wind shifted when the biker gang arrived, their thunderous engines tearing through the quiet lane lined with towering trees. Leading them was a massive, intimidating man covered in tattoos and scars, known on the streets simply as Stone. His reputation was carved in fear. People whispered that he was a storm where chaos followed. But on this particular morning, Stone came face to face with something he had never expected. A blind girl who did not step aside, did not flinch, and did not even know who he was. Emily, 17, had lost her vision at 10 due to a rare medical condition. She had learned to navigate the world through sound, touch, and an extraordinary intuition that made her seem fearless. The park was her safe space where she practiced walking independently. But today, the path ahead was filled with the heavy breath and looming presence of a man people crossed streets to avoid. Stone raised his hand, signaling his gang to stop their roaring bikes as he stepped forward. He expected screams, fear, or at least hesitation. Instead, Emily continued forward until her cane tapped the tip of his boot. She paused, sensing it. New presence, a presence that felt like raw fire pressed against cold steel. A murmur moved through the gang. They expected Stone to yell, to shove, to assert dominance, but something about the tiny girl in the red dress, blindfolded by her own condition, holding nothing but a cane, disarmed him in a way no rival gang ever had. Emily stood still, gripping her cane. She didn't know someone was staring at her with a mixture of confusion and something far deeper, something he hadn't felt in years. A flicker of humanity. Stone lowered his voice, something rare for a man whose words were usually thrown like weapons. But Emily didn't respond. She didn't even turn toward him precisely. She simply stood still, breathing evenly. And in that stillness, Stone noticed something. Her shoulders trembled not in fear of him, but in fear of being lost. She had misjudged the direction, and the path she took daily had become unfamiliar under her feet. She was trying to be brave while completely alone. For the first time, Stone extended a hand, not to intimidate, but to guide. He gently placed his hand near hers so she could sense it instead of grabbing her suddenly. Emily felt the warmth and paused. She didn't know who he was, but she sensed his intention not through sight, but through the unspoken language she had learned to trust. As his hand hovered near hers, the gang behind him exchanged stunned looks. Stone never showed softness. He was the embodiment of iron walls and clenched fists. Yet here he was, bending slightly, carefully, almost reverently, as if he feared breaking something fragile. Emily lifted her chin slightly and whispered a quiet, "Thank you" words the gang had probably never heard directed at their leader. Stone exhaled slowly, like someone remembering what it felt like to be human. He guided her off the path and toward a bench. The gang watched, their engines silent now, their faces confused. Stone could have simply moved her aside and walked away, but something kept him there. Something about her innocence struck at the hollow spaces inside him, spaces he had buried under years of violence and decisions he couldn't undo. Emily sat down carefully, feeling the wooden bench beneath her fingers. She sensed Stone's presence still hovering close, this time filled with a strange nervousness he had never felt. She asked softly if he was still there, and he answered with a hesitant hum barely audible, but to her, it was clear as day. What followed was a moment that neither of them expected. Emily talked about her life, her struggles, her attempts to remain independent. Despite her blindness, her dreams of becoming a musician someday. Stone listened, truly listened, for the first time in years. Not as a gang leader, not as a feared figure, but as a man stripped of his armor. And as she spoke, Stone felt something inside him shift. No one had spoken to him without fear. No one had trusted him without hesitation. But Emily did, without seeing the scars that marked his past, or the darkness people believed lived in him. Her trust was a mirror he wasn't ready to look into. But he didn't walk away. Day by day, Stone began visiting the park, not as a gang leader, but as someone determined to protect Emily. He helped her practice walking routes, discreetly ensuring no one bothered her. He even learned how to read Braille so he could bring her books. The gang was confused at first, even resistant, but slowly, their fearsome leader's transformation began influencing them too. They started picking up fallen branches from the paths she walked, keeping the park clean, even arriving early just to make sure no one would disturb her. The city, once terrified of Stone's crew, now silently watched as the most feared gang became protectors of a blind girl who never asked for their help but changed them nonetheless. However, the true turning point came one evening when Emily sat with Stone and told him that she believed people weren't defined by their pasts, by the choices they made today. She said this softly, unaware of how deeply those words pierced through him. For years, Stone believed he was unredeemable, destined to be the monster people painted him as. But in Emily's world of darkness, he found a light he never knew he needed. If this story has touched you so far, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. Weeks later, as Emily confidently walked through the park on her own, Stone and his gang followed at a distance, quietly ensuring her safety. And even though Emily couldn't see them, she always felt protected, guided by a presence she had come to trust more than sight itself. Before we end, please comment below. Kindness changes everything. Emily unknowingly transformed a dangerous man into someone capable of compassion, responsibility, and courage. And Stone, once feared by all, became a silent guardian for the girl who taught him that sometimes the smallest light can change even the darkest hearts. If this story touched your heart, please engage with the video you like, comment, and share helps us continue bringing powerful stories to you.